Hello, everyone. Welcome. We are back. Simulation 301. What's up, Ebony? Good to see you. Thank you so much for putting everything in place. Done. Okay, 1 second, guys. Sorry, I have to pause for. I know we just started, but I have to pause for exactly 2 minutes. My wife needs something. Give me 1 second. All right, we are back. Apologies for that. Can you guys hear me okay? Good vibes indeed. Microphone, MacBook. No, we're gonna go with. Go now. You can hear me a lot better. Awesome. What up, everybody? Welcome to everybody on TikTok. Welcome to everybody on YouTube, on X. Nico, how are you, my brother? And on Twitch, if you guys want to join on Twitch, it's LaserX83 on Twitch. Let me also put. Let me start the Discord meetup. Beautiful. Stage is open. Thank you, Ebony, for being on top of it today. Appreciate it. Mm-hmm. Okay. So as you guys know, there's pretty big news. We'll deal with it in a moment. We will deal with it in a moment. My videos. Okay. Beautiful. So, how everybody doing? Aside from the obvious. What up, Freeman? Jay? How everybody doing here? Okay, Joshua is in the house. Sione. What's up, KD? So, welcome to Simulation Talk 301. Unfortunately, TikTok had to miss 300 just because they blocked us for nonsense. Good job, TikTok. You, per usual, you were nonsense. I wonder if they're gonna block me for this. Hey, TikTok, you're nonsense. So prayers indeed. So as you know, what happened to Charlie Kirk, and by the way, just to be clear to everybody on TikTok, shop change your life. Yeah. So if I'm gonna be talking freely today, I'm obviously not gonna try and trip any of their wires, just because I do want to respect the audience on TikTok. But just so you guys know, on TikTok, if we are jumping out, if they give us another warning of any kind, I'm gonna shut down TikTok because I have no patience for this. And you guys can come to YouTube. It's Dango Thoughts, DANGO Thoughts on YouTube. If you guys want to actually follow on YouTube, in any case, I would actually recommend you guys follow from YouTube. It's the better situation. Okay, so what up, high tech? So as you know, there's the big news that we can't really ignore, and I am honestly, as I've expressed in my short videos that I've released, am truly flabbergasted by some people's responses, and I just want to be very clear. So if for some reason it's obvious it's not surprising to you, or it makes sense to you to be either indifferent or celebrate this, then I can tell you right now, and it has nothing to do with political aisle, you should not follow me. I'm not your person. You don't belong here. I want to make it very clear. If you're here and you're lending an ear, I want to make it super clear. Like, there's no negotiations here. If this makes sense to you, that this should be celebrated, or you're completely indifferent to it, I mean, that's a little bit better, but you can leave. And it has nothing to do with Charlie Kirk. And it has to do with humanity. So, that being said, let's dive into some things that we can maybe talk about around it. I don't know if you guys recall, but one of the things that I was pointing out to on the Danny Jones podcast towards the end was this idea that I've been talking about quite a bit recently, that really the main driver of all the problems that we believe that are causing the world, thank you so much for the gifts, are actually us. Yeah, there's some bots, but there's some real people. There's some people that I know. I've watched also video of people. I'm not gonna minimize the actual thrust of the level of radicalization in people's minds. So yes, bots are always playing a role, but no, I know some people like that, and it is absolutely abhorrent. There's no excuses for this. Now, I personally believe that, or I would like to believe that nobody's beyond conversation, but that requires a certain kind of openness. And there's one thing that became clear to me yesterday, was that patience begins where there's a will. What up, Carter? How are you, brother? If there's no will, there's no patience. Simply because there's no actual need to waste any energy on people that are not even willing to engage in a conversation. Funny enough, the people who usually do that are the ones that are actually capable of the other option the least. I know they don't realize that, but if people are actually capable of the other option, they're gonna get up. It's not gonna be good for them. So what's up, Evil Icon? Yeah, so there's illusion. No offense, but these kind of I'm really like I said, there's no celebration and also no justifications. There's no justification for this. Zero. Doesn't matter. The whole point of free speech is that you get to speak freely. Doesn't matter what the other person said. It makes it makes zero difference. So if that's not clear to you, like I said, you can leave, and that's okay. And that's simply because I don't think that we should spend any more time wasting energy on people who are not capable of reasoning in the simplest way. Do the work. If you're an idiot, that's your problem. It's very simple. The whole point of free speech is that you get to speak freely. Doesn't matter what you say, right? If at any point the line is, yeah, but they said this, then you do not believe in free speech. It's that simple. See, here's the thing. There's ultimately we're the ones that are actually driving the whole thing. And at a certain point, compassion goes so far, but at some point, you got to look at your fellow neighbors and go, yo, what are you doing? What are you doing? Because it doesn't matter what's out there. What are you doing? Snap out of it. It's no longer a drill. Snap out of it now. There's no more room for nonsense and idiocy now. So, this is going to be heavy handed, but I have no other way of expressing this because what I've seen it's beyond abhorrent. This is that level of malevolence and evil. I did not think exists in these swaths in the world. Yeah, it's there's so much that can be done if people are not stuck in these mindsets of just my way or the highway. And at a certain point, the people who do have the patience go, you know what? I have no more patience. Highway, take the highway, no problem. See how that serves you. There's a really good video actually by Chase Hughes. I'm going to share it right here that I just saw. Going to share it here. TikTok, you're going to have to go to YouTube to see the share, but everybody should watch this. There you go. I put it on YouTube. I'm also going to put it on Discord. What up, Daniel? Oh, I don't know what that is actually. I'm not sure. Yeah. So one of the things that 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 I guess is missing is what I said in those short videos I released, which is we have to be able to put the human part of it first. If before your political opinions, before whatever it is that you believe about the world, if you can't look at the suffering of another person in terms of the sadness that it deserves, then the humanity in you has already perished. And if society is going to be made out of people that only have this callousness to human suffering, where we're going to end up is nowhere, because there's no one survives a cataclysmic event in which all humans involved, all they care about is blood. That never works in the long run. It's not sustainable. You're just going to have an uproar and an uprise. And I assure you, the people who are doing this right now are not going to win this. This is the thing that I'm actually, if anything, I'm trying to prevent the people that think that they're, celebrating right now. They won't win this. There's just no way. They're incapable. They don't understand that there's actual physical ramifications in this world. And the people who can actually perpetrate these actions en masse will wake up if they didn't already wake up. The people who are celebrating them will not win this. They will not win this. I don't want things to get to that level, because when it gets to that level, there's no more stopping it. So if for no other reason than self-preservation, I'm telling you, chill. Yeah, I'm actually preventing myself from watching it because I don't want it in my head, exactly for that reason, Nico. Okay, let's see if we can maybe touch on some things that are adjacent to this. I wish I wouldn't come back home to this to these horrible news, but the truth is that we actually had a really good time, me and Carter, in New Jersey, thanks to Charlie that connected us with the Mark Sokol, who is leading Falcon Space Lab, and they are investigating all kinds of incredible breakthroughs in technology and anti-gravity. We did some tests with the lasers. That was really something. We did variable laser tests. We did a lot of stuff in the Faraday cage. We did some stuff with fancy polarizing. I think we might have hit something, but we're not sure yet. So we're going to have to keep analyzing that data. Oh, that's awesome, Daniel. If we identify with the current narrative, aren't we falling into the trap of the simulation? So there's the capital S simulation and the lower S simulation, and I think you're describing the lower S simulation. So basically, it's the one that is perpetrated on us by the media, and you're right. And then there's the capital S simulation, which has to do with the actual environment being giving a reality through by another civilization. And if you mean, I'm not sure what you mean by the narrative. I mean, there's physical events happening in the world. So, there's no narrative in the fact that somebody perished. That's not a narrative. That's a fact of what happened in the world. And that is the thing that we have to contend with, which is that ultimately these ideas that people carry, they carry themselves into actions in the world. And the more silly ideas people have, especially if they're emotionally charged, the worse the outcomes in the world. And it's just, we have to be able to look past that. There's a certain minimal criteria. There's a lot of other people that are a lot more capable at this than myself, that are a lot more diplomatic in that regard. Um, to me, I think there's something in me yesterday that just I realized that there's just the amount of energy that's going to be wasted on people that are not even listen, not even don't even care to listen, is one that just I'm not willing to exert that energy. I'm not willing to entertain it. But that's my choice. For me, it became a very clear cut thing for me. If there's not even a minimal respect to the humanity of a situation or a person or other people's plights, then I'm simply not wasting my time on that conversation with these particular people. Um, Terry, no, we the truth is, Terry, that we're not sure. We think that might be the polarization in a particular way, but this is yet to be determined. So I'm a little careful with expressing anything in that regard. And also, it was super cool to watch the variable laser changing the colors. It doesn't seem to be making any difference. Thank you for the likes. I appreciate it. Do I believe in archons? Something like those entities creating chaos in this dimension. So I don't really deal with beliefs myself. Don't care for them much. I try to focus more on the things that I know, and I'm familiar with the story of the archons. The Gnostics believed that the archons were kind of like the children of the God Almighty, and the lowest one of them, Sophia, created basically Jehovah, and then the shame and the guilt that she felt from what she created became the physical world. So I don't have a lot writing on that. However, um, I'm not sure. I mean, I definitely don't believe anything, but this, as far as I know, doesn't really hold any water. One second, everybody. Oh yeah, I heard about this. The biosignature on rocks and Mars admitted or declared, basically. I actually am very excited to find out what else is happening there, because finally, we're kind of discovering something that we can potentially do something with in real science. Let me put the website here. Lay down, Bubon. Actually, with this last comment, ambient, I will ignore him. You know how I feel about the whole guilt tripping thing. I don't know what you commented before. I can't possibly go through all the possible comments. The biggest problem is the corrupt paid off media. I don't know how corrupted it is. It just wants clicks, which is unfortunate and very evil. But something I see people missing is that these people literally believe they are killing NAZIS because the media has been allowed to make them believe this. Yeah, well, the thing is that there's no repercussions to the media. I agree with this. It's exactly what Chase's video is about. That this belief system that was created out of thin air, that the situation is horrible and the people on the other political aisle are enemies. People really can't look past that. It's like that's like a software running on their minds, and it's something that consumes them. They can't look beyond what they think is going on and try and look at the thing that is actually happening in front of them. So, but I fully agree with that comment. This might actually be a good topic to bring up with the Mars stuff on Sunday. Just a reminder, if you guys want to follow on Twitch, it will be LaserX83. That is my Twitch channel. And let's see. Let's see. Thank you so much, Ebony. There was a comment here. You got it, Ambient. Yeah, I would say, I don't like overarching sweeping statements usually, but I have to say that at this point, mainstream media, Seattle said all media is just propaganda. Basically, it is. So like the level, it's almost like nobody expects anymore the honesty from any of the networks. It's almost like it's not even expected anymore. I'll probably be today. I'm still pretty, shook by it's not even the event was like I felt it in my body. It's something big changed. This is not a small thing. It's heavy, and but what I was shook more by is that thing that I'm expressing about, which is that glee, that just this form of evil that I just can't quite digest it. I'm sure that tomorrow, the next day, I'll come and I'll have a little bit more of a well formulated thoughts about this. Today it's a bit raw, but that the fact that the media simply does not, nobody in the media seems to even understand that their job is to report and not to have an opinion on something. It's just opinions, and people state things willy-nilly like it's nothing. They, again, calling Elon and NAZIS like no problem. Like, this is exactly what leads to this kind of stuff. It's really funny that people keep pushing it to like the agendas on their thing when the real thing is staring you right in the face. People make this about guns. It's like, yes, the gun conversation is complicated. There's no question about that. America is unique because of the Constitution, and but and it is a conversation that is worth to have. But that's not. There's the people who want to do this. This is the thing that people are missing. People who want to do this, they'll get it. It doesn't matter. You think that if it's illegal, they're not going to get it? They're going to get it. That's not the thing. What drives these things is the kinds of decisions we are making. It's true that so you want to target the problem with how people look at the world. The more crazy ideas you inject into the ecosystem, the higher the chance that you're going to have a lot of disasters. Because guns is just one way of ending other people. There's infinite number of ways to do it. So if people really want to do it because they have crazy ideas, they're going to find a way to do it. People are innovative. People are smart. Even if they're crazy, they can still come up with all kinds of ways to do things. So the main central problem is always dealing with the mental health of how we are as a society. Human first, as I said in my short videos, and I'm keep repeating it. Human first. It doesn't matter how angry you are. Can you see the other person and their humanity? It's the more I think about it, I truly am. I'm just. It's almost like, you know what it feels like. It's like a whole generation of people simply never grew up. Simply never grew up. It's like they're teenagers into their older years. They're behaving worse than teenagers. Like barely people who just entered the teenage years and are still little kids. And it's tit for tat and it's ha ha ha. Literally, that's what it feels like. And these are the adults that are vitiating positions of power. It's crazy. It's grown up children. Exactly. Talking about people scoring a point and just, yeah, I'm truly, the thing is, I'm rarely speechless, but I'm truly speechless in the sense that I don't even know. See, the thing is, it's so obviously wrong that when somebody does either fails to recognize that it's wrong or going the other way, celebrating the wrongness, I, I'm just who it free speech, free speech, free speech. It's only free if people that disagree with you get to say what they have to say freely. That's what it is. So if there's a line for you, by the way, there's a line in the law too. You can't incite violence, right? But if there's a line for you aside from what the law dictates, you are taking the law into your own hands. You decided that you're above the law. You decided that, well, free speech till the things that I don't want to hear. Then it's not free speech. That's the idiotic part. I actually, I had so many people, you too, Kyle, commenting, and I'm seeing on other people's comments. It's like that point of just like, yeah, but like justifying. It's like, no, that all the opinion, write the biggest article you want about all the negative things you can think of that you think about Charlie. People voicing these things. I had people in my comments like, he was a bigot, he was this, he was that. It was like, listen, no, he wasn't. He was that to you because that's your experience. But he by no means was this to his kids, to his wife, to all the people that loved him. More than half of the country were behind him. Are you saying that half of the country are idiots because they don't think like you? Listen to what you're saying. You think that anybody who does not think like you or in the direction that you think, no matter how differently, which because of that, you believe that that person was a bigot, which I can assure you, I was following what he was doing. Bigoted, he was not. But you're entitled to your experience of him as a bigot. That's fine. You can say all of these things under the free speech. Under free speech, that's exactly the point. Do you deserve to be shot for it? The fact that if there's no recognition of how crazy that is, then this normalization, there's no more. There's no more. So think about what's going to happen. The people who from the other side, I believe we can still take a step back, but only if we stop tolerating a certain level of just like there's at a certain point it's just like no, knock it off. We can disagree about things. We can't disagree about the line of violence because somebody. The craziest thing, and this is something that was pointed out quite a few times today, that he was not in politics. He was influencing politics, but he was literally took his convictions and he got out there and he spoke them. And he was very in people's faces about many things. Yeah, a lot of people are, including all the people from the other side that are very much in your face. So that's the whole point. The algorithm is set to destroy empathy. Yeah, I would say that's very much the case. No, I've seen people like, yes, I'm sure that a lot of it is bots, but I've seen people, they're not AI, they're people. You can see people doing this. This is no, some of them are definitely people. I know someone like that I used to go to acting school with, and I'm like, dude, you lost your mind. Thank you, Celestial. Thank you so much, Kyle. I appreciate it. Have I seen a Christian guy that was asking GPT if it could be used by spirits or whatever entities? No, I have not. Kyle is saying the UFO UAP video orb separating when a missile was fired, added and kept going was nuts. We should be more like that. That's crazy. Uh, Yeah, well, there's no question that this was a political assassination. There's no question. Like either it was influenced um, or actually like a professional. Because the fact that the person is not caught yet, I mean, that's I think the something tells me there was like some professionals involved here. But yeah, basically he was influencing too many minds, and I think they were already looking at the next elections and like we can't have this. And it's really funny because again, as a liberal myself, I don't understand this. Like people, they go to festivals and they do all these things and they do this. Music, love music. When it comes to actual moment of showing reciprocity, showing actual love for other human beings, just because they disagree with you, oh, the hell with love. All of this is bullshit. It doesn't mean anything if you do it in a festival while you messed up on all kinds of substances. Can you do this day to day? That's the question. I'll be a lot more measured tomorrow, I promise. Or at least I'll do my best. Today I'm just, man, this infuriated me. It's crazy. The volume. I've seen a bunch of influencers, like people who have like a lot of followers, and they were like posting left and right that they lost 6,000, 30,000 followers just because they said condolences. Like, truly pause on that. Like, I'm sure I'm beating a dead horse at this point, but like, think about this for a second. Somebody expressed condolences to the family of a person who was just ended. They unfollowed the person who just said condolences because it's the right thing to do. Politics is just a set of decisions that you can make. It's not that serious. You degrade due to advancements. Don't know hard times again. People are going to find out soon if we can't shift it back to peace and love. Yeah, and truly, like this is the. It's like it truly the way that I view it is like because the people who are on the other side, like the nutcases on both sides, we're not even talking about them. Like that's just like a given, right? But the problem with the left again, and me as a person from the left, I'm telling you this, is that too big of a chunk of it was consumed in such a way that it's no longer the same. There's a lot of people on the right that are, because it's a lot of conservatives are usually much more into guns and working out and martial arts. It's just statistically more of that. People more in the military and things like this. It's not that there are no people on the left on that, but like it's a lot more of that. It's not a caricature. It's actually a good. It's a good balance of. It's a good representation of what in fact is going on. So if the people who on the other side actually rise up, dude, the left is fucked, like fucked. Like just no. There's not even a chance. That's the thing. Like I don't know that it's almost like the bully that was rehabilitated and now he's like trying to tell everybody to calm down, and people come and try to like mess with him and mess with him and mess with him and mess with him. Is like, guys, please calm down, please, please, please. Eventually he'll get up. You don't want him to get up. What I did find encouraging, though, actually, on the other end, that I saw a bunch of people that were kind of more teetering on, I guess, a little bit more center, but like also like a lot more on a lot of these causes, and that actually woke them up. They said, "Okay, I don't want anything to do with this. This is crazy." Indeed, we need to consciously permeate love in all our daily interactions. I agree. I'm doing a lot less of it today on the live. I'm aware of it, but man, you're right. I'm blaming the masses because I feel bad saying this, but you can't get rich if everyone is self-governing. You need the masses too easy to manipulate. Well, I don't know that the rich part actually has anything to do with it. You can live a very good life without being super rich. Um, you just got to know how to handle your finances. The thing is, it's true that this generation has it the hardest in terms of trying to get a house and all these things. I agree with that. That's true, but people are nowhere near being poverty line. In America, most people don't even know what that means. Like truly, they don't understand what real poverty is. You can go to McDonald's and buy a meal for $4, and you'll be pretty satisfied for quite a few hours. So yes, it's not the best food, obviously, but like actual poverty, where you're really starving all day, like the most Americans don't even know what that is. So it's the thing that I think is missed the most here is that there is definitely a contribution from hardship to people being more negative. But at the same time, the main operative is not that. The main operative is the choice that people make moment to moment of what to do next. At any given moment, anybody can just choose the best option in that moment. Every time that you see a situation where you say, well, these people will push to the limit, and then no, 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 no. It's not how it works. When people are truly marginalized and truly pushed to the bottom, they don't just rise up. It just doesn't happen like that. And also, the tendency then is not to become demonic, uh, you know, wanting to retaliate to the level of monstrosity. Like that's not a thing that happens. That's a choice that you have to make. And yes, again, circumstances can influence it, but it is a deliberate choice of people to go with the route of rage, with the route of anger, with the route of anti. The problem is hate. That's the problem. Yeah, I don't know if it's a security oversight. I mean, again, I'm actually not that huge on conspiracy theories, but like that feels very deliberate. And it might not be, by the way, but like it just feels very deliberate. We should focus on going to space, people. all just a distraction. Yeah, to a large degree it is. This was a professional hit. I agree. Kirk was scared of a particular country. Scared? I just saw a video of shooter jumping from the roof. He took a 20-foot fall like a... Yeah, I saw that one. He was afraid of a particular country? What does that mean? I don't know what that means. It feels like something is fundamentally off with someone's soul if you don't handle condolences. Yeah, it's really simple. If you feel nothing for the perishing of another human because you believe that they were... So like, I'm trying to imagine the situation reverse, right? Let's think, like, who do I find despicable? I can't even like, you guys know how worked up I get about Terrence Howard, right? I would truly be devastated, truly devastated, if he would be gunned down that way. It's awful. It's awful. How can anybody forget about, like, obviously, how can anybody wish it upon someone? Like, think about wishing it upon someone. Do you understand how disconnected one must be from their own humanity to wish it upon someone, to feel glee and celebration of that? That's monstrous. That is actually the definition of evil, because you want this other person to suffer. It's one thing to do something by mistake that causes somebody else harm, and then kind of feeling embarrassed about it, or kind of like trailing up. It's still not okay, but it's one thing. It's another thing to obviously perpetrate it on purpose. And it's quite another thing to feel joy doing it. That's psychopathic. That's evil. Like wanting someone else to suffer. But, and again, for what? Because they disagreed with you with how things should be done. So people take what he's saying, which, by the way, I watched quite a bit of him, as many people have. And there's actually quite a few things I disagree with him on. But he made his points clearly. There was some points in which he was kind of like fumbling, in my opinion, some of these arguments about religion and stuff, even though I know he believes it fully. But that's not the point. The point is that he never escaped the actual points. So to him, it was clear that what he's saying was correct. So he believed what he said, what he believed. He spoke. He did a lot of work, did a lot of reading to know what he's talking about, be informed. And he took it there. So think about what it requires. Somebody shows up, has a conversation, and I'm sure you guys know that even people who disagree with him very often respected him. So then you show up, and just because somebody disagrees with you on that particular issue, you took it to such a level where you want them not just to not be, but you want them to suffer. And there's no recognition of the fact that he has two little girls and a wife, and like are people not imagining this? Or because it seems like there's just no more, like, zero empathy from the people who claim to champion empathy more than anything else. It's so upside down and backwards. I'm truly in shock by this. Do I think humanity is doing this, or entities influencing these events? So that's a really good question. I think that the only way they can influence it is the same way that other people can influence you, which is that they try and move the energy around you to express itself through you. So if you think of particular emotions and particular ideas as software, they're just competing for replication. So there's a set of ideas that works really good together, just like there's a sets of genes that work together, like gene plexes. In this case, it's meme plexes. It's sets of ideas that work really well together. For example, postmodernism and woke, those ideas work really good together Because if you can convince people that there is no ultimate truth and it's all a matter of opinion, then anybody's opinion now trumps any conversation. That means that the only way to trump anybody else's position is to feel it stronger in the moment, because there's nothing to land on. There is no ultimate truth. So these two ideas work really well together. And in this case, you have like a whole orchestrated structure of all kinds of ideas that are very well formulated, that have been injected into the zeitgeist for years and years and years, and people believed in them very, very gently, and all rose together. And when people feel marginalized, all you got to do is get them young and convince them that there's a reason for why they're marginalized, and then start pointing in that direction. People, just like Pavlov's dogs, they will associate that group of people with the utmost evil. And they look at Christians, they imagine all of these things, all of these hidden moves, when in reality they are imagining it. They're projecting it because they know they would do that. They're projecting it on that person. I personally think that he was very honest in the sense that he said what he believed in. Now, you can disagree with what actually works and what doesn't work, but there's no question that he believed it fully. He was not lying to anybody about what he thought. That is that definition of free speech and exchanging of ideas. Carter is saying Chase mentions a good point in showing us that these personas are being presented are being lifted up by interest, attempting to distract us from what is really going on. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. Oh, I see Nico is here. And Ethan, if you want to speak, just raise your hand and I'll bring you up. No problem.
Hey, Danny.
How are you, brother?
Oh man, I've been in the days.
Yeah.
The last 2 days.
Yeah, it's crazy. Hold on, let me change here so I can hear you better, because I think people can't hear you very well. 1 second. Okay, you're in full output. Oh yeah, we're both on Mac. Okay, continue.
Yeah, I've just been trying to focus. It's been really hard to focus. It's just been like even last night I couldn't sleep. Once I saw that video, I was like, that is the most horrific thing I've ever seen, and I just can't focus.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry you had to see that. I know that there's certain things at this point. I've seen enough things in my life where I know what it does to me. So I if I can, I try to avoid from seeing it, because otherwise it burnt into my memory for a long time. One thing I can tell you is that there is a way to transmute this into something that's actually very positive, but it takes some time. But don't run away from it, because then it's gonna haunt you. So
well, the thing is, when this happened to Trump last year, I was really disturbed, especially by the take that people were like, "Oh, it just got him in the ear," and I was like, "Guys, that could have been horror. That could be the most horrifying. That was very close to being the most horrific thing ever, right?" And I feel like people think this is a video game, but what I saw, that was this is not a fucking video game. This is very fucking, this is the most raw fucking reality check you could possibly ever have. And that is where, like you said, I was like, okay, I have to step away from this realm of whatever this is, which is unfortunately, it's open discourse, right? He's creating a platform for open discourse amongst young people, which I think is good and healthy. But at the same time, I've been, a lot of people run to kind of diagnose the political affiliations behind these people. And for me, I always just say, well, I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. At that point, you're mentally ill, right? And how do we prevent this from happening, right? This is horrifying. But the celebrations are sickening, so that is something that I have to take a step away from for sure.
Yeah. So this is exactly the problem. So I don't know, like, where you guys. Usually, I don't engage with these kind of comments, but yesterday I decided that from now on, if it's on my watch and we're talking, I'm not gonna. Not gonna shy away from spending some of my energy to actually pointing these things out. So some of the people here that are saying things like Kirk specifically said he was scared of Israel if it turned against them recently in public. So no, he did not. He never said such a thing. I don't know where you got that from. And these kind of lies that are perpetuated constantly online, they're not small. See, this thing that you just did that you think is like, whatever, I'm just gonna say what it. No, this is what causes all of this at the end. The fact that you're saying baseless claims that have no place in reality. And by the way, just to be super clear to everybody, as someone who was in the IDF, Israel doesn't do that shit. Just to be clear with you, it's not you. It will blow your fucking noodle how ethical the IDF is. It is the most ethical army that exists in this entire world. The level of scrutiny that people go through actual moment-to-moment decision is parallel to none. This is how upside down this whole picture is. The belief that people have that Israel has this like malicious intent to just kind of like control everything is like, no, they're open a map. Open a map. Look at the size of Israel. Look at all the surrounding Arab countries. Look at what you're actually talking about. Israel has to be super careful with everything because everybody are trying to annihilate it, including pointers like the one you just made. You think it's small because you think Israel is some kind of a giant that controls everything. Israel is a tiny country that has to defend itself from enormous armies all over the world and nonsense like the ones you just said. And by the way, this is verifiable. So the thing is that there's this entire machine, the same one that ended up in what's happening yesterday, that is designed to make you think that you know what you're talking about, and you don't have the first clue. Now, to be fair, everything that was transpiring in the last 3 to 4 years made it very difficult to see. And I see that very smart people are getting confused by it. So I'm not holding it against anyone, because just so you know, even inside of Israel, there's a big turmoil and big disagreement as to how things need to proceed. But the media would have you believe that it's just so kind of like a one-sided thing. It's just kind of like, yeah, just a few bad apples. You just want this one enormous destruction, and the rest of the people don't. No. This, for half of the country, this is completely justified because of what happened. Everybody seems to have forgotten why this started. So now, the problem with this is that because of the level of chaos, it's very difficult to verify anything. But the point is, especially because it's very difficult to verify things, you should be very, very slow at pulling the trigger of amplifying signals that you know nothing about. You can always hide behind the claim, well, I didn't know, just what I was reported to be. We no longer have this luxury. We have to be a lot more, we have to scrutinize the signals that are coming through our attention. Otherwise, you have no place to say that you didn't know. You could verify all of this. You can ask ChatGPT right now a bunch of facts that a lot of the lies that are being told to you about Israel, they're just not true. And yet, people are constantly keep putting them out because the machine wants you to believe something. Here's a test for you if you think you're actually being a balanced person. Now, if you don't think you're being a balanced person, again, there's nothing I can do to actually reach you on these subjects. But if you are being a balanced person who actually cares about peace, who actually cares about resolution, who actually cares about the way forward, here's what you have to ask yourself. How much do you actually know about the positions that people hold on two sides of any particular conflict that you think you know so much about? I'm going to repeat it again. Ask yourself, how much do you actually know, truly, not from the news, but how much do you really know about the actual positions of people hold on both sides of the conflict that you think that you're defending. So the obvious one is the Israel-Palestine one, right? That's the obvious one. But there's many others, by the way. The whole race situation, like any conflict that you can think about. I submit to you that you know close to nothing about the Israel-Palestine thing, both from the Palestinian side and from the Israeli side. For sure, if you tend to talk against Israel, you know nothing about the general Israeli position. So, and then here's the question you really got to ask yourself. If you actually care about humans, if you actually care about solutions, if you actually care about resolutions, and again, peace, if you actually want peace, in order to achieve peace, you have to understand what the people on both political parties and on both sides of any discussion or war or anything, what do they actually want? And there's not, I think, one person on the pro-Palestinian side that knows the first thing about what is the position of the average Israeli. Not people, like the average person in Israel, who is a person just like you. So if you don't know that, that tells you that you're highly uninformed. Because if you don't, if for you they're just like a name or a thing on the map, you don't see their humanity. You just see them as a thing in the news that somebody told you that is bad. Just like somebody in the news told you that Charlie is bad. It's exactly the same situation. You know nothing about their aspirations, their needs, their fears, their traumas, why all of this is happening. So all you're left with is this one-sided, easy, lame argument. So boring. Oh, they're just evil. It's so absurd. So no, you're not interested in resolutions and peace. You're interested in the same chaos that the media that you're so quick to blame wants. The media wants it because they want clicks. They want more people to get on their news networks so they get paid, which is, again, very unfortunate, but that's the main driver. Anybody who expresses these opinions strongly without knowing nothing about them, you don't have that excuse. You're not even gaining anything. You're just getting a momentary instance of gratification, like, oh, I said this thing like everybody, and I feel good about it. I did the right thing. No, you didn't. You don't know the first thing about what you just said. If you can't grapple with the position of an average Israeli of actually what they're going through, you don't know the first thing about this conflict. You're talking out of your ass. And you're amplifying the hate that eventually leads to what happened yesterday on a global scale. Only guess what? Israel will be fine because they already know all of this. I don't know if you know this, but the reason that Israel doesn't do a lot of explaining is because they decided a long time ago that no matter what they say, people don't listen. They just do their own thing and then just make up whatever shit they want. So they stopped trying to explain. That is actually an official position. Now they're kind of turning around because they see it's doing way too much damage. But that is the actual position. So you have to choose to ignore a lot of things in order to see something so absurd and so upside down. But it does not mean for 1 second, with everything I just said, it does not mean for 1 second that the suffering of the people that, to a very large degree, brought it upon themselves still is horrible. It's still horrible. But in order to bring it to an end, you have to understand the real reason as to what actually is going on there. And by lying to yourself about what in fact is going on, you are adding to the problem. You're not only not helping, you're adding to the problem. Because you're amplifying a lie that eventually causes things like you saw yesterday. Everybody should take that as a special responsibility for themselves, if you ask me. Make sure that you understand the signal you're amplifying. It's very easy to just go with the first instinct. No, emotion is not enough. You need to be informed. There's a lot of great people on both sides that are a lot more balanced that you can actually listen to, both on the Palestinian side, which I follow and I really enjoy their content, and on the Israeli side. You have people like Habib. I forget his last name. I can put these names here on both sides. These are the people you want to listen to. People in the middle, the ones that actually trying to understand what is going on and how you move forward. Not these infantile, silly arguments about this is bad, this is evil, this is this. Humans do things because they feel they must. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing them. We can prevent certain things from happening, and sometimes there's no other way because what you said, Nico, you thought it was the most horrific thing ever. Well, let me tell you, if, like I said before in this live, if you have the guts, I do not recommend it. But if you have the guts, you can dig up and you can find what happened on October 7th. You can find these videos. I do not recommend you do this, but you can find them. You will not sleep for months.
Well, I think it's important to, like to as a calibration sometimes, but I agree with you. It is something I wish I didn't watch, but it's yeah. But Habib actually said that the person in charge of the PR for the Israeli army resigned October 8th.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, resources need to be allocated to something else, and they kind of abandoned the PR component of all of this, right?
Yeah, but again, to me, the point is deeper. See, my product is truth. I'm interested in what is true about the world. And under that banner, people are just not interested in that. They're not interested in what in fact is true. They run with the first most absurd claim about something. And when that claim is shown to be false, they don't even correct their course. I'm not talking about political outlets. The problem isn't just the media. It's the willingness of the public to be so gullible. That willingness is a much bigger problem, because if you wouldn't be so willing to be that gullible, the wool wouldn't be pulled in front of your eyes so easily. If a claim is being made in the New York Times and then corrected, and it's not even a version of the truth, it's just a lie, like a lie. That was just a lie. And they put some correction at the end of all their pages, right? But eventually there is the reporting about it. So if you refuse to let that be a guide for you, if one side constantly lies and you rarely, if ever, catch the other side lie, and you still constantly believe to the side that constantly lies to you, you're the problem. You're the problem. If you can't go through modifications, hold on. We have a responsibility in this. I don't blame anybody for the fact that this is really complex. This is very hard to understand. But the information is out there. So, unless you're willing to do the work and try and truly understand, don't amplify every signal you see, because these signals, they do propagate. That's what David is talking about, David Rugg, that we have to amplify the kinds of signals that are actually empowering us. It doesn't mean that you should not be informed, but make sure that everything kind of clicks. Make sure that everything. If that example with the it's just one example, but there's like so many of them, right? Of all the fake videos and all the fake photos the New York Times releases as the showing of this. First of all, it's so absurd because there's actual suffering. Like, nobody's saying there isn't. Like, there's actual horrible suffering. Why add to it? Like, why add imaginary ones? Also ones that are actually not happening, just to create more of that, inciting more of that violence. So again, the network is doing it because they want clicks. But if you enjoy this orgy of just hate, then you better check yourself. You're the ones that are propagating this. There's nowhere you can't hide behind, like, well, I don't know, I was just part of. Yeah, here's the thing. You might think you're not going to have to deal with it, but you will. Your soul will have to deal with it. It's all registered. It's also a form of evil. Okay, let's see. Hey, Johnny.
I was actually thinking about it today, about David Rugg today, because I was watching kind of the Fox News perspective on all of this. And it was, it's kind of disturbing because the narrative was, how much of this are we going to let them get away with? Right. And like, there was this kind of like polarization of like, we need to get them back. And I was kind of like, okay, well, this is free speech, right? This should be allowed, but like David Rugg said, the resonance of it, whether that concept resonates with people, is up to the person, right? It's up to collectively everyone. So if the network doesn't amplify it, then it dies, right? And so it's almost like these media channels are projecting a certain frequency, but we have the ability to tune out of that frequency entirely and force them to find a different resonance frequency, right? Which used to be at some point probably better journalism, right? More fact-driven, kind of like news coverage. But today it's like rage bait, it feels like.
Yeah, because the model changed. Unless you get clicks, you don't get but again, this is where our responsibility comes in. People can no longer hide behind the claim that they didn't know, because if they want to know, the information is there. They have to allow themselves to actually find the information. And again, it is an unfortunate situation that there's so much misinformation on both sides. I fully appreciate that. I know how difficult it is. The one thing I have going for me is that I have on the ground experience and understanding of how things are done, at least from the IDF side. And it's just the level of ethical decision that is instantiated in every level of the operation is so enormous that these kind of ideas that people have about like, well, they just wanted to do this, it's just not how they think. They obviously think ahead because they're constantly trying, it's under attack, but they don't think like that. They don't think like a conniving trying to get like that's just not how. That's not the thought process. The thought process is always to minimize harm. This is a very unique situation what's going on right now because of infinite number of reasons. And this channel is not about this. So I don't want to waste too much time on this, but it's truly unique in that it really is where kind of Israel really doesn't know how else to handle it. And there seems to be no right answers here because they have to end it. I think everybody thinks that, including myself. But if they don't do it with eliminating the thing that I saw some put here, October 7th will be the equivalent of 40,000 Americans. It's not about the numbers. And this is the thing that it gets to the core of the central ideology that gives rise to this insanity that give you October 7th. It's not the number of people. It's the glee with which it was done. Systematically. The glee. Like the reason that I'm telling you, you don't want to find it, but you can, these videos, is not necessarily because the fact that there's so much carnage in it. It's the fact that the way it's done is done as if the devil himself was doing it. Like truly. Like enjoyment from murdering entire families with your hands. Like it's just unfathomable evil. Like it's not the same as dropping a bomb. It doesn't make the people any less DAD, but it is not the same kind of action inside. Do you understand? There's a different action inside that needs to happen in order to do that kind of thing with glee. Slowly. That's a different thing. And what gives rise to that, and I don't know how many people are aware of this, I've seen them. I can try and dig up these videos, but like I've seen them like in real time, not like on Instagram, but I can find it for you, where literally from a young age, like their Mickey Mouse is teaching them how to kill Jews. This is real. This is real. Like imagine a kids show that's showing the kids that the best thing they can ever do with their lives from 5, 6 years old, 4 or 5 year old. And they have another child host that tells them like, what are you going to do when you're going to grow up? I'm going to kill and slit throats of Jews. Literally, that's real. Do you understand? All the people that you see right now suffering, a giant chunk of them grew up this way in 2005, 2006, who are now the people that people are fighting. That's a different kind of thing. That is that is the definition of brought on yourself. So now, does that mean that the people who champion human life need to lose their humanity to fight this? No, but it is very difficult not to. And people don't appreciate how difficult it is to hold the walls of that not barging into your soul. That until people appreciate what is actually being faced here, they don't know the first thing of what they're talking about. I'm trying to find some like really good kind of like voices on both sides to show you guys that maybe I can help a little bit, give you a little bit of like who you should follow on both sides. People that are moderate, that are really trying to make something beautiful happen.
There's a good guy I like from the Palestinian side. He lives in Silicon Valley. He did a Jubilee where he debated like 20 college students on this issue.
Oh, this is a really good conversation. And yeah.
Go ahead. I feel like he's really good because I feel like he's grounded. Like he's very calibrated with like history, right? Like even like I think there's so much history that, you know, to be honest, like I think everyone needs to shut the hell up about this topic because this is an insanely, like you once said, it's the final boss.
It is the final boss of complexity and everything.
On so many layers that like once you think you understand the gist of it, it gets convoluted. It's so complicated.
I just shared, before you keep going, I just shared a video, a really good conversation between two people from both the Israeli and the Palestinian side talking to each other from a much more moderate perspective. Watch how the conversation should be had. And they are in it. They are the ones in the conflict. So like this guy, Palestinian, escaped, obviously, he lives in Germany. Super cool guy. I'm following him. I really like his voice and how he talks about everything. And the other guy, who's a big correspondent for Israel, but they're very moderate and they're talking together with one another. So that's the video I just shared on it. These are the people that you guys should listen to understand the complexity of the situation and also to understand the intricacies of what in fact is going on. Don't listen to all the extremes on both sides. Don't listen to any of them. Yeah, continue. Sorry, brother.
No, that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, no, it is beyond complex, and the conviction that people have is just, and this is, by the way, the same kind of rhetoric that brings you again what happened yesterday. It's this absolute certainty of calling people NAZIS, of calling people, evil people, and making up agendas they don't have. All of this gives rise to that. Let's see if I can find.
I also like, I think God sought has some really good,
like a really good. But he's very, I mean, he is.
I know he's Jewish, but I also know he's Lebanese, and so he
is, yeah.
He kind of like identifies with like the heritage of the other side as well. I feel like.
Well, what I like is, yes, he is a good person to listen to, but I think that if somebody is super skeptical of the Israeli side, he's not going to be convincing for them because he looks like he's just like kind of like only speaks very against anti-Palestinian, right? The reason that I like that guy, the chat that I just shared, is because the Palestinian guy, he's from Gaza, like he's from there, right? And he's very much interested in peace, and he's speaking about things from the inside that a lot of Israelis also don't understand, which is like the actual plight that is perpetrated because of the situation. And you can say, well, you know, throughout all the decades, the Palestinians brought it about themselves because that's the Israeli narrative, right? Which to some degree it's true because they basically were attacking from the beginning and they paid the price for it, which is kind of crazy to me that people just don't realize that's from the beginning. People always say, well, you know, basically they were always like pushed out. Like no, they attacked every single time and they're pushed out. Yes, so you know that happens if you attack. So however, all of that being said, the people that live there today they didn't necessarily have anything to do with it, so that also has to be taken into account, and that very often isn't taken into account by the Israeli side. And what I like about this conversation is because they speak the truth from the perspective of one of themselves, but they're absolutely open to hear the actual plights from the other side. That's the conversation, the kind of conversations that need to happen. I think I can find it.
You know what's crazy?
Yeah.
I heard the statistic that 1 million Iraqis died in the Iraqi war. And I was like, that's a lot of people. Let me look into this. And after digging, they can't even pinpoint an exact number. It's a range. It's between 200 to 400,000 Iraqis. But the second and third order shockwaves of that, some historian or some like scholars are saying that really you can say 1 million people passed away from it. But that's like through the second and third order effects.
Right? Which Iraqi war, by the way?
Like for a war 20 years ago, we can't even put an exact number.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh no, the numbers thing. No, the numbers thing is absurd. Like it's just that I just don't even understand because there's just no way to know. And also, you know how Piers Morgan constantly is like amazed. He's like, how come they know how many terrorists but not how many civilians? Like, I don't understand your question. They know how many they're supposed to hit in this area, so they know how many of them didn't come out, so they know the number. They don't know because just to be clear, this is, you can go and verify, you can go ask ChatGPT anything that I'm saying here. For the most part, Israel always actually notifies people. So I don't know if you've heard this before or didn't hear this before, but it doesn't matter. It's true. Okay, so there's not one instance in history that an army ever did that for their enemy, which is that they're notifying them in advance where they're going to bomb. So they get out of there. And this is also why you have so many good footages of this, because people know exactly where they're going to hit. So they place a camera exactly on that area. It's almost like a demolition area. So the H word, they're still making people stay. And it's unfortunate, but okay, like that's all you can do is they're finding them, right? So they're asking them to leave, and then whomever doesn't leave, it's awful, but that's what's happened. So that's why they don't know how many, because they don't know how many Hamas told not to leave. So that's the reason. And so the reason I mention it is because it's such an easy thing to understand. And also the fact that, these things go hand in hand. It's like, well, look how much of it is destroyed. Yeah, because it was all booby-trapped. All of it. It was designed for this. This situation never existed before. In history, it didn't exist before. This level of booby-trapping the entire city almost never existed before. So like, instead of you going and bringing demolition to every single structure, you got to move on. So you just clear the people as much as you possibly can, and you just plow through, because otherwise you'll never finish it. And is it correct? Is it not correct? That's already, but the attempt to actually preserve human life is is beyond anything that any army in history ever tried to do. So people hear this and they say, "Oh, these are all the Israeli talking points." No, that's what's happening. I have friends who were in there. That's what they're doing. You can verify this. Ask ChatGPT. ChatGPT is the most neutral thing you can ask this about. So then, still, there's a lot of things happen that are obviously in every single conflict. You always going to have people that are doing awful things. Nobody's denying it. Nobody's denying it. But just so you know, as much as it might be hard for you to believe if you're anti-Israel, people, for the most part, stand the full impact of these actions, because they're investigated and they are punished very, very severely. Just so you know, it is not the same as celebrating that as a system. It is completely upside down than what you think. As a systematic thing. Let me try and find this, because this is well, while I'm looking for it. Anyways, I what I encourage you, if you really want to know, is look into people who are much more moderate from both sides, that are from the inside or were inside. But make sure that you listen to both, so you actually understand the plight of both. If you really want to be fair, you want to understand the actual situation, and you want to potentially think how, peace can be achieved, you have to understand what both sides, what their actual situation is in terms of how they're describing it. Well, I guess I'm having a hard time finding it right now. But you know what? I can maybe find it and just share it tomorrow. Where are we in terms of time? Oh, what is that?
I do think it's very important though for critical thinking, because I think what conspiracy brain is when you see connections and you run with them.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a good thing that you brought up, which is like, what do I actually know, right? If you did like a ground truth analysis where you're like, okay, what do I know as facts, right? And then that typically, I think, prevents a lot of the conspiracy brain from going wild, right? Because there's so many assumptions made with conspiracies, and I feel like it's the only way of not having a distorted reality. And so when it comes to like all of this stuff, I've kind of taken the position of like, even with like, the whole Iran thing, where I'm like, okay, well, yes, I'm scared of World War III, but I'm not in the intelligence. I'm not in the war room, right? Like I don't have the data. So like all of these opinions I see online of people saying the war is gonna end, or even like someone like David Smith, or someone who like has read all the memes and has read a bunch of like stuff on it and can recite it like they're a scholar, like they still don't know, because they're still not in that room. Right?
He doesn't have the first clue.
You just have to trust that the people in power, you just have to kind of root for them for it to go the right way, right?
Yeah, well, with him in particular, it's very clear that it just became his shtick. The thing that this is the ultimate Dunning-Kruger effect, because he doesn't even understand in general how to study international relationships of any kind, let alone the most complex situation in history.
Sharp that if you don't know what you're listening to and you just take his word for it, it seems like he wins every debate, because he's so prepared and he's a sharp guy. He's smart, but
I actually think it's pretty dumb. I'll be honest with you. Right? I think it's actually pretty dumb. That's exactly why he retorts to the very emotional rhetoric that he developed, and he just recites a bunch of statistics, but he's not a very good information analyzer. He does not know how to, he just runs with his emotion. And if you notice, like in any conversation that he has with someone who actually knows what they're talking about, he starts becoming very emotional, and that's what he runs with because he knows that it doesn't actually run through. It's like that conversation with what's his name, the one from Trigonometry, where he's talking to him and he's like, "Hey," he started like blaming Israel for the fact that America went to Iraq, and he's like, "Yeah, they came in." I was like, and he goes, "Wait a second, hold on. Your government went there. What are you talking about?" He's like, "Yeah, but they can." It's like, wait, hold on. So you, without any evidence, saying, but also, by the way, if a country convinces another country to go somewhere, right? Then America is not stupid. It means they have their own incentives. So you just removed all the responsibility from the most powerful country in the world for their decision, and you say, no, the Jews did it. Do you understand how absurd that is? Like that's his entire thing, which is like that he takes like super general concepts that have nothing to do with the specifics, and he just makes it up on the fly, and it sounds like it connects for him because for him everything is a conspiracy. Everything is all about always about interests and always about money. When in reality, very often the decision might include money, but the decision very largely is decided because of actually somebody trying to do the right choice. What the problem with most people kind of like him is that they see the entire world through this one shade of everybody wants money and nothing else, everybody wants power and nothing else. That's not true. That is not true. People are people. People still care about whether or not they can sleep at night with their own decisions. Most people are not psychopaths. So they can excuse a lot of things, but ultimately, no, not everything is decision around power and money. That's not how people think. That's a caricature version of humanity. And that is what I mean. Like his analysis is super superficial. Yeah, I can't find it right now. Like I said, Kaizen is someone I highly recommend to watch because he's just on all issues. Basically, he's presenting it really, really in a balanced way. Up, is this it? Maybe not. Okay, never mind. I'm not gonna waste any more time on this. I'll find it tomorrow and then I'll share it if anybody wants to watch it. Always listen to the moderates on both ends. How do you know they're moderates? You watch how they talk. If they talk with too much conviction and thrust, they are not moderate. People who truly are moderates, the people who are actually trying to understand and presenting the other point of view in their own conversation in a way that isn't despicable and in a way that isn't trying to mock or make fun of it. If somebody mentioned, this is something Dave Smith does a lot, he mentions another point of view in a very mocking way, literally like a child, and that's all he does. There's no actual analysis of the situation behind it. There's just this super childish appeal to emotion and has nothing to do with the actual central conversation around the serious complexity behind every single decision that has to be made in real time, in wartime, especially when the risk of getting it wrong is actually existential risk.
Yeah, I mean, he's very effective, and so it is, you know, he is pretty popular, right? Or at least he's been gaining popularity. But I think I've been seeing it now because at first I was like, damn, this guy's good at debating, and then I realized, but what you're saying makes a lot of sense because I do remember hearing this kind of like very simplified, childish narrative to like we just went to war. It's like it was trivial, like we just got tricked into doing it. But you're right, there's a lot of nuance that goes into going into war. But you know, one thing to bring it back to a topic that you talked about a couple of weeks ago, which was Kerchai Mongol mentioned about the final role, right? The all paths thing. You see it in science a lot too, where there'll be like a foundational concept like the path integral, which can be misinterpreted, and it kind of goes undetected as this like misinterpreted concept that even gets a lot of smart people, right? And so it's like there needs to be this, I guess, constant curiosity where you're just constantly, I guess Elon calls it first principles thinking, right? Which is like always starting off at this ground truth of like, okay, does this violate the laws of physics, right? Like, is this physically possible?
Mm-hmm.
Because that interpretation of the prime integral, like, it takes all paths and then finds the shortest one and then takes that one. Like, that's kind of an insane concept, right? That should trigger your physics brain to saying like, I don't think that's how it works.
Repeat the last part. What should be there to say that's how it works?
Oh, like, for the fun, like when I watched the Veritasium video and he's like, oh yeah, the photons take every pass,
mm-hmm.
and then they find the shortest path and they take that one. And I was like, whoa, like my mind was blown. I was like, I had no idea. But really what I should have thought to myself is that can't be how it works. That's impossible. Like, that's magic, right? Like that would be a groundbreaking revelation in physics if that were true.
Yeah, well, I think that very often people forget what the question was. I think that happens in physics quite a bit. When people talk about the ultimate question, they kind of forget what the question was. And by the way, just for your information, international court is not a real thing. There's an entity called international court, but that's not they don't have any jurisdiction under. They have no power over any country. To be super clear. Okay. I think we'll adjourn for today. It's already after midnight. Today was a loaded one, but there was a lot of things happening since yesterday. Wishing everybody, thank you so much for the gift. Wishing everybody an incredible night, and we'll cool down. We'll talk tomorrow with a little bit of a cooler vibe for sure. I do appreciate everybody who came and shared ideas. If you guys want to follow me across platforms, you'll be Danny Goller on TikTok and Instagram. You'll be Goller Danny on X. Be LaserX83 on Twitch, and Dango Thoughts on YouTube. DANGO Thoughts on YouTube. Come join the membership program that gives you full access to early access to all my content. Access to my weekly lives, aside from the daily lives. Those are for members only, where we dive much deeper into topics. And if you sign up from the second tier and up, you will get an invite to my once a month Zoom calls, which are a lot of fun. Also, if you want to check out our website, codeofreality.com, where we have merch, the lasers, protocols, and things like this. And feel free to get yourself a nice item like a shirt, a hoodie, a mug on my YouTube channel. That definitely helps the channel. If you want to still donate to the film, you can do that. You can find the trailer of the film, The Discovery, on the channel Dango Thoughts, DANGO Thoughts on YouTube. And if you still want to donate to the film, we're in post-production now. You can find the GoFundMe page in the description, and you can do the donation there. If you are a baller and you donate over $1,000, you will be added to the group of people that will see it for the first time ever on the planet. I think it's pretty cool. If not, you'll definitely see the film. We'll make sure that it comes out for everybody. I really appreciate always our guest, Nico. Thank you so much for always coming on, sharing your ideas. Thank you so much for incredible moderators. Ebony, you're the best. Guru, who's not with us today. Chris and Jessica, thank you so much. Thank you so much for everybody who are always joining. So the audience, the new, the old, the ones that agree, and the ones that disagree. I really appreciate you in the end of the day, because without you, there's no channel. So thank you so much for coming here and sharing ideas. Eva Lycon, thank you so much. Cosmic Cowboy, appreciate you. Yoni, Jay, Terry, Ambient Glass, Val, who are all of our regulars. Thank you so much. Gooby, who else is here? Macoltra, I don't know how to read this, sorry. Illusion. I think I mentioned most people. Terry, how are you? Okay. So if I didn't mention you, I still saw some of your comments. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace and love to everyone. Be balanced. Human first. Human first, everybody. Love each other. See each other's humanity. Have a good night. Ciao. Bye, everyone.